Annyeonghaseyo! Welcome to Afternoona Delight, where Leah, Megan, and Amy, romance novelists, and your K-romance guides. So grab some dekboki and listen to your new favorite unnies.
Hey everybody, Leah Riley here.
Hello, it's Megan.
Hi there, it's Amy.
Yeah, so you look very bright in orange, Amy. You want to tell us what's going on?
This is really bright orange.
It does look bright.
It's the only orange thing that I own because orange is not my color. I wanted to wear orange today because today, even though this is not the day that you will hear this podcast, today while we're recording, it is August 13th. But it's actually 8:13 p.m. right now while I'm saying this.
Shut up.
For me.
Yeah. It's 9:13 here.
Numerology, babe. So I'm just celebrating Taylor Swift's new album, The Life of a Showgirl, which kind of dropped at midnight on Tuesday morning, but there was no cover of the album yet. We just knew orange. There was no cover. There was no title. We just knew orange. No, we did. Yeah, we did know the title. We knew Life of a Showgirl, but no cover. And then today dropped her first podcast appearance on the New Heights podcast with the Kelsey brothers. And so I just wanted to celebrate that. So I've got my orange on for Life of a Showgirl. And it's 4 Seasons Total Landscaping because it's in Philly. And there's my New Heights crossover there.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, so I have a little story because I'm curious what you guys think about this and if you do the same thing. Okay, so when I'm stressed about something that's kind of like beyond my control, okay? So my son was trying out for his high school soccer team like this week. That's completely beyond my control. I have, other than like just saying good luck and I love you and giving him a pep talk, for the most part, it's completely beyond my control. And at one point, I said to my husband, I was like, so like, how are you feeling about the situation? Like, how are you feeling? Do you think he'll make it? And my husband's like, Neil's like, I don't have enough information. I don't know how many spots there are. I don't know how Dane's looking at the trials. And I was like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I was like, don't you ever just like put feelers out and just test the vibes of like the universe kind of? And I'm not like that woo-woo. Sometimes I just try to get the vibes of like how I think things are going to go.
Yeah. Because I'm not going to say that Myers-Briggs is like the be-all end-all, but you are an ENFP.
Mm-hmm.
I am an ENFP. Amy, I don't know what you are actually.
I have to like relook it up. I think I'm ENTJ.
I think that's right.
You are an E? You?
Borderline. Like when I took the test, it was like 1 over into E.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
I'm going to sit with that.
I know. It shocked me.
Okay.
Extroverted introvert.
So yeah, what Megan says to me seems very relatable through that lens. I put the vibes out and everything. I run my life on vibes.
I do too. I was like, I run my life on vibes. And I think Neil is like, I seriously think he saw me in a new light. I think he might have gotten the ick. I think I gave him the ick because I truly think he is like, what the fuck? Like
But I feel like I am Neil adjacent. Maybe I need to like explain to Neil in a Neil way why that's not an it.
Because he's like, I need data points. I don't know what you're talking about. Like beyond, because I was like, I'm feeling positive. And I was like, I'm truly I'm feeling really positive vibes. And even like yesterday, we got some data points that weren't looking good. I was still like holding on to like the vibes I had originally felt.
I love a receipt and I don't mind getting data when I'm like trying to do my calculations. And I will still trust my vibes over facts. The only thing I'm going to say for myself, and then I do want Amy to speak because I am curious where Amy falls on this, is every once in a while I have to stop myself and go, is this vibes and like good? Like, am I tapped into like the vibe ether? Mm-hmm. Because I believe it exists. Mm-hmm. And am I tapped into the vibe ether? Or is this mental illness?
Yeah, or am I deluded?
There's a difference. Because sometimes I'll have like a fear and I'll be like, is this like part of my OCD? Like, is this something else or is this the vibe? And I have to sit and really be like, I'm pretty like, I think that's the mental illness. That's not the vibe.
Right. Well, I am like, I mean, positivity is like one of my like I think it's my number 2 strength. So like I tend to like lean positive, but there are times where I'm like, I'm not feeling this. This is not like this just is this just doesn't feel like it's gonna work out. But this thing, which he did make the team, yay, we just found out
Right.
like 15 minutes before recording. So my vibes are right. That's all I gotta say. Like, and it was funny because even last night when we like thought things weren't gonna be good, he kind of said a little snarky, he's like, "How are your vibes now?" And I was like, "Excuse me." And I
Ooh,
actually said, "Actually, I'm still
Positive.
holding on to them. And they actually are still feeling okay." Like, I'm serious. It was so, we're like fighting over vibes. Like, that's what our argument is. But I was just curious if like you guys also just put feelers out and it's like, it's the vibe.
100%. Like I want like I kind of feel like I'm with Neil where I would love to have all the information, but when you don't, that's the only thing you can do is the vibes. Like and I feel like I'm better with it when it pertains to other people than I am for myself. And I've talked about it on the podcast before. Like when Sydney initially did not get a call back for her a cappella group, her in college, she didn't get a call back and she was like bereft. And I'm trying to talk her out of a spiral and I was like, "Well, did you reach out to them and just ask what you can work on for next year? Because maybe they'll have an open spot next year and you can audition again." And she's like, "Okay," you know? And in my gut, I'm like, her reaching out's gonna make a difference.
Oh, yeah, you felt it.
And I didn't say that to her because I didn't wanna put that on her shoulders, but she
Right.
reached out and it's a student run group, so she reached out via Instagram because that's how they communicated, and immediately the president wrote back to her and said, "Sydney, your audition was so good. We just had way more people than we thought were coming, but now that we see how much this means to you, we'd like to have you come back for the callbacks on
See?
Friday." And
See?
she went to the callbacks and she got a spot.
See, you put the vibes out.
I did, I put the
I
vibes out, and I yeah, so I feel like I'm better with vibes with other people, and I wanna get good at vibes with myself.
Yeah, I think with Neil too, he just doesn't think about it. Like, if he can't control it, he just doesn't think about it.
It's out of sight, out of mind for
It's
him.
out of sight, out of mind. I just can't do that. I can't do that.
And I
So
think
I
what
feel the
I've seen
vibes.
with Nick has been because Nick is ISTJ, we're exact opposites for every single like Myers-Briggs data point. And what I've noticed, like where I feel like we push up it against it the most is decision making because I'll be like, lock it. So yeah, so it makes sense, Amy, that you're into it too, because we're all ends, like we're all like into intuition. So I just go into like my intuitive mind castle and I'm like, that's a yes for me. And I am like into the yes. And I can change my mind, but I don't grapple and go back and forth like, did I pick the wrong choice? Like we were talking about cars yesterday and potentially like we have our Tuesday night date night. And a fraught topic with us has been purchasing a vehicle. We have different ways we go about it and thought processes and things we're looking at. And so last night, I was just like, we were like, Nick needs to like sit and think about car data, think about prices, think about stuff. And I'm like, I think I want this one. This is why. And I hear everything you're saying about this and it doesn't resonate for me. So I think I want this. And then he's just kind of like, well, I don't get really what you're saying. Like, I don't get it. And I'm like, it's the vibe. Like the vibe is like that thing. Like I want that thing right now. And like I don't want the other thing. Like I just want that thing. And
It's
then
like
when
when you
I and then when people will not like accept my vibe as like a reason, like cuz I was like my vibe boss, I have vibes about other people and usually it ends up being my husband who bears it where it's like my vibes are that you should be agreeing to this with me and there he's like I don't have that feeling. And it's like, I don't know. I think though, when you tap into like that vibe ether, it's usually right. And every time I try to talk myself out of like what is actually like the vibe, that's when I've had regret is when I've rejected the vibe.
Yeah, I tried to talk myself out of the vibe just to like prepare myself for disappointment. But I think deep down I was like, no, this is the vibe. Like I'm feeling this is the vibe. This is what I'm seeing for kind of like the future. And so anyway, thank you for like validating me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell Neil, I'm gonna make him listen to the beginning of this podcast and be like,
I'm here for
see,
the vibes.
yeah, I'm not crazy. And don't get the ick.
But fear, I feel like my fear stuff tends to not be coming from I guess that's also what I'll say is like when I'm trying to decide what's mental illness and what's the vibe is usually if it's like fear and it feels irrational, there'll be a moment where I'm being like, am I being like impression? Like, am I picking up on a danger? And like that, I'm picking up the like the danger of a vibe, like something bad will happen. And then I have to be like, no, that is just like, yeah, that's the mental illness talking.
Can I tell you a really quick example of that? And this is also with my daughter. So she never told me about this until it happened a second time. She texted me one day while I was at work. I was at work and I was in the office and she texted me. She was like, "Is everything okay with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm working." Like that sucks, but yeah, I'm fine. She's like, "Okay, because I had a really weird dream about you last night. And the last time this happened was when you ended up in the hospital with like your emergency, like stomach surgery." I was like, "You never told me that." She's like, "Well, no, because it freaked me out that like I had this dream and like my vibe checked and my vibe was right." So she texts me while I'm at work. And so then the whole rest of the day, I'm like, I'm going to get in a car accident
You're
on
like,
the
am I
way
dying?
home.
Am I
Yeah,
dying?
I'm like, am I dying? Is this it? Is this my day?
Do I have a
I'm
blood
dying
clot?
today.
Yeah. Oh my
So I was
god.
like, shit. I'm like,
Like truck of
what would
doom.
you, what? I'm like, text me that at the end of the day when I'm safe. I mean, I was seriously afraid to leave my office because like, what's going to happen? And that was, I will agree with you, Leah. Like, that was not a vibe. That was like an irrational fear because even though her like her dream was like on point that time, I was like, what are the odds that she's always going to have premonitions of bad things happening to me?
Yeah. Oh man.
So yeah, I was terrified the whole day until I went to bed that night and
I'm
woke
glad
up
you're
the
okay.
next morning.
Right. I didn't die
I
in my
had to
sleep.
wake up alive the next morning to not be afraid.
Right. All right. I don't know how to segue into this. This is also just based on vibes.
Vibe. So we tap into vibes a lot when we're consuming fiction. So today we're going to be talking about sexual tension in fiction, be it books or K-drama, which really is running on vibes. So that's our segue. And when we're talking about sexual tension, we're talking about that kind of like palpable undercurrent of, romantic and physical attraction that happens between characters, which is more unresolved or unexpressed. And there's a bit of an paradox. I'm going to call it for intents and purposes of this podcast, like the HEA paradox, that I think is a challenge that every romance writer faces, be it like you're writing a novel like we do, or you're writing a K-drama like the shows we talk about on the pod. But how do you create and then maintain compelling sexual tension when your audience knows the ending, which is that the couple's going to end up together? So I'm not talking about a love story in this case. I'm not talking about, and so
Yeah,
there's
say
lots
what say what HEA means because you just went
HEA
right into
is a
HEA.
happily ever after, or you could
Yeah.
say a happy for now. So in romance, to meet the definition of a romance, you need to have the story end in either a happily ever after or happy for now. And the minute you're like, but wait, what about those? And I mean, we've talked about this before. So this is if you're like newer to the pod or you're swinging in and you've missed some of the other ones. If you're like, but what about like Romeo and Juliet? That's like the most,
Titanic
yeah,
Or
or
like
Titanic or
yeah, the
The
notebook.
Notebook.
Anything Nicholas Sparks
anything. Like
does.
these are all like they don't end happily, but like they're amazing love stories. Yes, they're love stories. So we're not denying that there's not love stories. But for the genre purposes of romance, if you are going to the bookstore and picking up a book shelved in romance, you are going to pick out a book that at the end the couple gets together either forever or for now, like it ends happily with them together. If you would like to pick up a book where they may love each other a whole lot, but they don't necessarily end up together, you're going to be
Not
in
a
a different part
romance.
of the book. You're going to be in a different part of that bookstore. And so yeah, so circling back, yeah, how do you create? So of course, sexual tension can exist in love stories. Of course. I mean, think of Mr. Sunshine, where you've got the famous like Gudong Mei like touching her skirt that we talk about all the time. Like, like that's a moment of huge charged tension, but they're not gonna, that story, as we've spoiled many times, like this is not a story that ends happily. But in this case, we're gonna talk mostly through the lens of romance. And so in that case, how do you maintain this like compelling sexual tension when everyone who's watching is gonna like know the ending, which is that they're gonna end up together? And so you really have to think about like there's key elements that make that tension work that you create and then kind of embed into the story.
First, we have unspoken desire. So characters are attracted but can't or won't act on it due to internal conflicts, external obstacles, or timing issues.
There's subtext and implication. So conversations have double meanings, ordinary interactions become charged with possibility.
Then we have everyone's favorite, which is physical awareness. So you'll have like those brush of hands or that lingering eye contact. I do love a brush of hand though when later you like you they there's like some sort of contact and then you see the hand like flinch. It's usually the male character will have like one of those little like fist, that they make or something like that.
Emotional vulnerability. Characters tend to let their guards down, sharing secrets or showing sides that they don't reveal to others. So, like, maybe like a big, like, drunken sort of confession where they're like really vibing.
Then you get the push and pull dynamic. One step forward, two steps back as characters get close, then circumstances or fears create distance. Like if you make that confession while you're drunk and then regret it when you're sober, you might then really pull back extra to sort of put that distance there.
That was good, Amy.
Thank you.
And
On the
then
fly.
obstacles and barriers. So, what's keeping them apart? So, it could be external circumstances like class differences. We often have like a disapproving parent in a K drama, things like that. Or we could have internal barriers like past drama. You just cannot handle when it rains. Every time it rains, it's going to just make it so you can't be around each other, just heightening up that tension.
Do not hate on Ginu.
Gino.
You're hating on Anya Sup, who's Ginu.
Or cable ties, you just can't see it. No cable ties. Never a cable tie.
I'm making out business proposal, which has rain drama. I'm just saying for people who are like, what do you say?
I think it's hilarious. I do. I
Yeah.
think the rain thing is hilarious because it rains all the time. All the time in South Korea.
But I think the best kind of sexual tension makes readers feel like they're intruding on something intimate, even if something explicitly romantic is not happening. And there's a lot of science that explains why we love to just experience that tension as an audience. And now we're not a science pod, so I'm not going to go real deep on this, but I do want to touch on like a couple of just fun studies or research that's been done, just really cherry picking at random. So in 2011, there was a study called He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not. And researchers at the University of Virginia found that women were actually most attracted to men when they were uncertain whether those men liked them back. Even more attracted than when they knew for certain the man was interested. So I think this is one example of that psychological foundation that makes sexual tension and romance stories and K-dramas so compelling. It's like those iconic moments where a lead says something that could be interpreted in multiple ways, or again, there's those like lingering looks or touches. When those happen either on screen or in a book, writers are basically kind of like weaponizing that uncertainty effect, which is going to keep the audience in this kind of sweet spot of not knowing for sure how the other character is feeling and kind of in just that like it's not resolved, so you're just kind of like at the edge of your seat kind of feelings. And there was a neuroscientist, Robert Sapolsky, who did studies with monkeys that showed that dopamine, which we all know is that feel good brain chemical, gets released more in the anticipation of a reward, not when receiving it. And so I think that really also can explain why like sexual tension and stories can be so addictive. Like every time somebody almost kisses and doesn't, or there's an interrupted moment, or there's a barrier, it's like triggering that same anticipation response because that reward is dangling right in front of us, but we don't have it yet. And so it just keeps you turning the pages at night or pressing play on the next episode. So let's get to it. As romance authors, we grapple with the HEA paradox. So for the two of you, how do you create sexual romantic tension when the reader knows that the couple's going to end up together?
That's hard. It's definitely a difficult thing. And I talk about this whenever I talk about writing romance to people who aren't, in the writing world. And I think it's going to be different for every book, but I think at the heart of it, and it was even in, your sort of list of like what creates that sexual tension, it's having good conflict. You need a good conflict that is going to make it hard for the couple to be together, even if there is an attraction, because that way you get that push and pull, that will they, won't they. Um, if there's no reason for them to be apart, then there's no story. So I think it's coming up with that good conflict and to have a good balance of internal and external conflict that I think can really ratchet up the tension.
Yeah, I agree. I've said this before, but I had a publisher who so you had to fill out kind of like a marketing plan for your book after you wrote a book. So this is after you wrote a book. And I remember the first question on the questionnaire is why can't your couple be together? Because they use that first in their marketing. They use the conflict. And it also like why are you writing a romance book if there's no conflict? Like especially the book this publisher wrote kind of like category romance, so, like, think Harlequin, where there's, like, specific kind of, like, lines, and they always wanted tropes, 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 and, so, yeah, I still think of that when I write. I'm like, when I start a book, one of the first things I write out is, "Why can't they be together?"
I think it's interesting that we've really moved so far away from category romance. Yeah, I've taken myself right back into category romance in my own journeys of reading as like a reader. So when we're talking about category romance, these were lines that Harlequin is a really good example, or Mills and Boons, if you're British, where you had books that you were like, I want to get a medical romance. Like there were people that loved medical romances, or I want to have like a cowboy, but like more specific than that. But you were like picking it up to get like a very specific type of trope. And I don't know if it's, I don't, I'm not going to spend my time now unpacking my reader tastes, but I've been wanting more. I am looking for very specific things when I pick up a book. And I don't want a lot of the filler. I just want to go right to what that trope is going to give me and like inject it into me. And the ways that I've been finding it most efficiently lately have been indie market and then also AO3. Like I am in my fanfic era where I want to go into cracked out hashtags and chase those tropes. And I'm like curating my reading experience, like looking for, yeah, I want to have like Omega verse reverse harem, blah, like whatever it's gonna be. People want to know what hashtags I seek. I will let you most of the time know because no kink shaming from me. But like I'm chasing fairly specific things that I can't find necessarily like on the bookshelf if I go to the bookstore right now. And so yeah, I think that that's an interesting, and I'm gonna just also, I think I want to just do a whole conversation sometime on fanfic and like what's amazing about fanfic. I've just been enjoying like the who gives a fuck. Like all the rules are gone. Like I've pulled up books before that are 700,000 words long, a single story, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it's held my attention and I'm not saying it's like a trilogy. It's one book.
One book.
And I'm like, you know what? Shine on, you crazy diamond, doing it for the love of the game. Like you are some anonymous person in fanfic universe being like, here's my $750,000 or word.
Just to give like some relativity to that. Like if you don't know word count in books, like a typical romance novel is probably like 80,000 words.
Yeah, 700,000's insane, and I respect it. I'm just saying, yeah, for
Yes.
one book, that is absolutely crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of reasons why books don't go that long. I mean, one is the labor involved for like a traditional publisher would be
My god.
expensive. Like, that's
It would
why.
and it would be a giant tome
Yeah,
too, like, to
where are
be
you
in one
selling that?
volume.
Can you imagine the shipping costs?
Yeah,
Oh,
no, we can all think of a couple books like Gone with the Wind. There's a couple books that you pull out and they are like legitimate door stoppers, but this is not like a bookstore does not also want to receive a bunch of those.
Right.
And so, but yeah, you can go into some spaces digitally and the world is your oyster to just do what you need. And so it's fun. And it's fun to just be like, what are people trying and doing and thinking about? And how do you maintain tension and things like that, where it's like, it's, yeah, that's a conversation for a different day. I will not, I told Megan and Amy at the beginning, I would not make us do 2 hours tonight. So we will talk about that at another time. But
okay.
for for all of us, what is a moment of sexual tension that you've written, and why do you really love what you like? Why do you love that scene?
So I have one in a book that isn't out yet. It's a book that's coming out in January, but I really like it. Um, and it's a small town romance. It's called Almost One Night Stand, and this will give you the idea of where the sexual tension comes from. So the hero and the heroine meet in a hotel bar. The hero is a best man at a wedding, and the heroine is just kind of passing through town on her way to like start a new life in a new town. Um, and she basically just wants to forget about her life for a while, and he's handsome and asks for consent, and she basically, says, "Let's sleep together." And he's like, "Well, I gotta go back to the wedding and, like, say goodbye to my best buddy." He's like, "Here's the key to my room." And she goes up to the room, and he's got a suite, and she's like, "Holy shit." And she's like, "I'm gonna raid your minibar." And he's like, "Go for it." Um, she raids the minibar. There's her favorite thing is a Toblerone. There's a Toblerone in the minibar, and he has a jacuzzi tub, and she runs herself a bath and is basically like naked in the bathtub waiting. And he comes into the room, and she's there in the bathtub, and he helps her out. And she has there's just a lot that goes on in this scene where she's like, "Oh god, this is somebody I could really like, and that's freaking me out because I'm never gonna see him again." And she basically sends him on an ice bucket run, and she throws her dress back on and runs out of the hotel.
She dips.
She
Oh.
dips, only to end up in the small town where she's moving to find out that he is there too, and they are both trying to rent the one, like, vacant apartment in town and end up becoming roommates and working together, and both have reasons to, like, not wanna fuck up these new jobs that they have, and so they agree we cannot we have to, like, forget that that ever happened, but he's seen her naked.
Yeah,
He's
that's
seen
great.
her naked, and, like, the attraction was absolutely there, like, they had one kiss, and now they're just gonna be platonic roommates, and so, I mean, not to pat myself on the back, but I think that sets up the story for some good sexual tension.
Heck yeah, because then the tension's there throughout the whole book. So my favorite scene that I wrote with sexual tension is the beginning of a book called Changing His Game, which this is the book I wrote for the publisher who
Know this one.
says this is yeah, but this is the publisher who's like, why can't they be together?
This is good.
So yeah, I had a really fun time with this one, and it was based on like I saw like a random GIF sometime. I don't even know. This was before TikTok. I mean, I wrote this book 8 years ago, maybe
Yeah.
8, 9 years ago. And I just thought, like, what if you're at work and this GIF is on your computer and like
You're looking
somebody
at a
sees it?
sexy little gif.
Yeah. So my heroine works for a magazine. Okay. And she's doing the layout for the magazine. I don't even know if that's how they do magazines anymore. Like if she was like physically building the layout of the magazine. But anyway, on her computer. And she previously had been doing maybe some things on her computer that maybe that shouldn't have been in her search history, but she'd been bored. She acknowledged that probably wasn't the right thing to do at work. But she works late nights. And something happens on her computer and it freezes. And there she calls for help. So she calls IT. And the only one who's available, turns out he's like the CEO, but he's like, whatever, it's like late at night. I'll just go help her. Like he's very kind of like stone face, just he just wants to help an employee. So he goes and of course there's like instant attraction. Like she's like, "Oh my god, this is the IT guy?" Like, "Okay." And cuz he's like beautiful, of course. Looks rich, but she's still like, "Hey, I don't know, maybe they pay IT guys a lot now." And he takes over her mouse so he can like fix what's going on, but he clicks on some sort of like old tab and this gif comes up. So and I don't even remember the gif, but it was something that had to do with like the man's hand on the woman's throat, so it was like a little bit of like dominating type thing, which he's super into. He realizes that she's super into. He's also like, "Holy shit, this employee's hot." So this is like very like electric moment between them where they're both looking at this GIF on her computer. They're both turned on by it, but like he's the boss, she's the employee, and it's just like, yeah, it's an electric moment. And then gets out off the tab and he fixes her computer and just like leaves because he's like, I can't act on this. But then she well, later finds out that he is her boss, and there is a lot of conflict then because of that, because it is a workplace romance, which I've never been into workplace romances, but this was really fun to write because I even had her do this thing that it was funny in middle school. Just real quick, I did a science project where I tested my cat to see if she was right pawed or left pawed. Yes, that was my science project. Yes, they accepted it. I can't believe I didn't fail. Like that's ludicrous that they let me do that. So I had her do that. Like it was like it's like he loves me not on a flower. She like would do it. She did it with like her cat. She was like, all right, if you hit like this ball 3 times with your right hand, then I can like date him. Anyway, I was really proud of that scene. But that's it. I love the sexual. That's probably my favorite. Because it was like fun sexual tension a little bit. Like it was just like, oh my God, we're both into this. This is a workplace. So it's not like they could act on it. And it was really fun. I love that.
I love that book.
So I'm laughing because I like everybody's examples and I feel like they're very like they both sum you up. And then I feel like mine is also sums me up. But
Wait,
like,
wait, can I guess real quick?
sure.
Is it the masturbation scene?
Yes!
Because it's like my favorite thing you've ever written.
I feel so seen.
It's a great scene. It's really like please.
It is.
So
Like,
what
talk
makes me
about
laugh
it.
about it though, like when I was thinking to set it up was not that it's masturbation. It's that I was like, you both gave like these like very good, well-rounded like plot summaries of like, this is how it leads. Like, this is the plot of the book. This is where it goes. I'm like, okay, so mine's all internal.
Yeah, and I love it. And
Which still works.
it's very
It still
Leah.
works.
No,
It's very-
no external to be seen. It is all internal. It's book 2 of my debut series, and it's called Sideswiped. And in it is a masturbation scene. So somebody recently asked me, "Do you all write like open door sex in your books?" And I was like, "Fair question. If you have not listened to the podcast much, yes."
Yes.
You're like, I write open shower scenes.
Also, raise your hand if you've written shower masturbation before. Like I have.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, oh my God, tons.
Multiple times. So when
well,
you even said masturbation, like you know that when I speak, but I have plenty of
but
masturbation.
this is a very specific
Yes,
scene.
it
I
is.
remember reading it and feeling uncomfortable because I was like, I shouldn't be like sitting in on this.
So I like tension that's uncomfortable a little bit, and I like it when it feels like yeah, maybe you shouldn't be there. Like maybe you're intruding a little bit, or maybe it just feels a little too vulnerable because I think that's the part of like that. So what is sexual tension? It's also like the head fuck. And so when you're writing open door sex scenes, you're gonna get to the fuck, like the real fuck. K-drama doesn't often it does sometimes, but like, you know, generally you're not going to the fuck. Pride and Prejudice, you're not going to the fuck. You're going, it's all the head fuck. And so there's a lot of people that are like, I just love the head fuck. Godspeed. I like both. I'm a hoe. Like I want the head fuck and the fuck most of the time. And so in the scene I wrote was a little bit of a challenge because it was like the middle book of a interconnected series with one couple. So I was having to like keep that tension going. I would say it was more along the lines of like a Duna type of a vibe. If you like or dislike Duna,
100%.
or what you feel, but it's like
We love Duna here. So
We love
Yeah.
no Duna
I know.
hate here, and your books are like Duna.
yes.
And so it was more kind of like, yeah, you're in your head, you are trying to figure stuff out. You're with like your first really significant, serious person. You know, the gloss of the beginning of the relationship has like faded away. And now you're starting to get into where like this is feeling serious, but you're still kind of young. You don't really have like all the tools to communicate. So what are you gonna do when like you're trying to like show that like you care about somebody, that you want to make yourself vulnerable to them, but you don't really have like a great toolkit to draw from? You're gonna masturbate in front of them if you're me as the author writing the scene. And so it's like a scene where essentially he is like, watch me do what I'm doing because and it's not leading necessarily to the fuck. It's leading to this moment of like there's a lot of tension here as like I'm watching these people who can't articulate their feelings, and so they're taking it here, but it's still very individual. They're not like actually moving into like a situation where they're just going to like make out and stop talking. It's very much like insular, a private act done to oneself, but to demonstrate all these things that kind of like can't be said and articulated as they're going through this journey of like social or emotional growth. So I really enjoyed writing that scene. I am really tickled, Megan, that you knew I was going to.
That was really good, Megan.
As soon as I saw this, I was like, she's gonna talk about the masturbation scene, right? I mean, it's like and just it's a really good scene. Like I vividly remember how I felt when I read it, and I
Well,
don't always feel that way when I read
I'm going to
books.
release that book again. I mean, it's out kind of, but yeah, we spoke about it recently. I am going to be releasing those books again.
Yeah, you should.
Okay. So one last question of writing and then of our own writing, and then we'll kind of start to move into more the broad topic with how it relates to K drama, which is just out of curiosity, do you enjoy writing sexual tension more or sex more? So more the head fuck more or the fuck more? And
My
why?
God. No, the tension is my favorite. And this is the thing is I actually don't like writing sex scenes where there's no tension. So, like sometimes you get to the end of the novel and people just want like happy stuff. They want like a happy makeout. I don't know how to write that. I feel like I need there to be this like angsty tension. Like so especially when I write my alien books, a lot of times they finally give in when they feel like danger is closing in. So they're like, let's have this one last like moment for ourselves where like we have love before like aliens come and like
One
cut
for
off
the
our
road.
limbs. Yeah, one for the road, a road dog. And I just feel like that's my favorite type. I've always struggled with that like the happier, non-tense um sex. Or any type of make out scene or even like banter. I'm just like, ugh, like the small talk banter you gotta do at the end. Like I just don't like it, but I know readers do, and I do if I'm not writing it. Like I actually do like reading it. But so clearly, yes. My answer is yes.
I I think I have written like the happy, like sort of epilogue sex maybe like a time or two. And I agree with you. It's not as fun to write because like, okay, we're just like, we're gonna do it.
Then it feels like
Um
mechanics a little
it's
bit.
but even so in general, I do prefer writing the head fuck more than the fuck. Not that I don't enjoy the fuck, but the fuck, there's only so many ways you can say how the fuck happens. There's infinite ways that you can fuck with each other's heads, but there are not infinite ways that you can talk about penetration.
There's only so many words for thrust. Like I'm sorry, I've done them all, but he punches his hips like I'm just it's just
Hurtful.
like yeah, it like but it wears on you.
Yeah, my favorite kind of sex writing to actually write is often, and it's not because I have like any like moralistic, like, I can write just like straight down dick and filth fine. But my
Right.
my favorite.
I go to your same series and I think about the cave scene.
Oh shit. I forgot about that.
I'm like, "Oh my god."
What a cave era. 'Cause I
She's
was like, which cave? Because my debut book, or not my debut, my first book I
when
ever
she's
wrote.
sitting on his face.
Yes, I forgot I had cave face sitting.
Cave
Yes.
facing.
Any hoodles. um, Go me though. I forgot I did that.
I
Um,
I did not.
I like to write more like if I'm writing from like a place of where I'm just writing to make myself happy, which I want to do more and more, is I like sex where it's like there you're in the fuck, but you're in like the head fuck during the fuck. I think that's like my happiest place of writing, honestly,
Mhm.
is like that. But I sexual tension is very fun to write. And I recently had feedback where so in Puck and Prejudice, they don't have sex until the final last third of the book. And there was like a lot of back and forth conversation of like, was that coming too late? And younger writer me would have been like, okay, I'll have them like get it on early. And in this case, I was like, no, 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 no. I do not want to have them have sex earlier. I want them to have sex when they have sex. Paste in the book because I feel as if I begin to lose interest once most of the time. Not all the time. Like there are series that like are heavily more like erotic romance where there's a lot of fucking throughout the whole book. And so it's just kind of like part of it's built into the plot. But when you're reading kind of like a classic romance, I would say that like once you once they have a the full Monty sex, like no more foreplay, like they fuck.
Right. Right.
I'm usually like, okay, like let's wind it up. Like let's get to the end. Like most of the time I feel like that. And so if I'm writing it for myself, I do not want to start fucking early because I'm going to be bored. If I have them have sex earlier, I'm just going to be bored most of the time. Unless I was able to do something that was like really fun and erotic, or I was getting to do like a polycule or something that was going to like entertain me personally more as a writer. But if I just have them like get down really fast, I think most of the time I'd be like, okay, well, no 750,000 words for me. I'm out at like,
Yeah. I like that if it's a one night stand where there's immediate tension afterwards. So actually love a one night stand book. I do. I've written them. But I need immediate tension afterwards. Like you wake up and like some weird shit, like you
Right, there's a
realize,
reason why we shouldn't have done that.
yeah, there's like a secret identity, and because why I like that is because he felt like they had sex without knowing each other.
Yes.
So like to me, then the tension is when are they actually gonna connect again, and how's it gonna be different now that they actually like respect each other, love each other, blah blah. So I do love a one night stand, but I will say if you if that's not the plot line though, the plot line is like they just sort of like get together really quick and have sex. I'm the same way. I like often lose interest. I need the tension.
yeah, because as you were saying it, like Fated to Love You, I think does it really right. So they have and this is a K drama. They
Right? They
have
wake up and it's immediate tension.
and
Immediate.
this is an older one. I will always hype Fated to Love You. I think it's so fun. But they fuck and they have sex, like which is like, again, K drama, like it's pretty clear. Like there's no if a baby is made.
No,
And so
there's a
that also
deposit. There's a deposit.
but I love how problematic it is that they both think they're having sex. They're both shit faced.
That's the most dubious consent to ever dubious
Like,
consent.
I mean, what do you
I
yeah.
know.
So
I
it's
know.
double dubious, and
Double
they both
dubious.
think they're having sex with someone else.
It's so wild. It's
And you know what? That's the shit I like. That's why I think fanfic has been a happier space for me because I'm like, honestly, I want stuff where I'm like, huh, wouldn't have thought that was going to be okay. And you gave it to me.
Can
Okay.
I just say really quick that I think that we need to like TM head fuck and fuck and make stickers on that because
head fucking fuck.
The head
I
fucking
love
fuck
it.
fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
let's hear it.
Huh?
Absolutely. Okay. Well, does anyone have a K-pop rec of the week this week? I'm going to
yeah,
do a K-pop rec of the week.
go ahead.
All right. So we're going to do a K-pop rec of the week. I am going to give a K-pop rec of the week. I often do not do K-pop rec of the
No,
week, and
go ahead.
I am not giving a new one. I am giving one that has entered my playlist on such a heavy rotation. I am listening to it not once during the day, not twice during the day. I'm up to like 6 to 8 times in a day listening to this song. I don't know what happened. It just like about 8 days ago, I was like, I got to hear that song. And I've just been playing it over and over. And it is Park Jimin's Smeraldo Garden Marching Band. And if you know, you know. And if you don't like it, I don't give a shit because
No,
I
I
think
do.
I'm not saying you, but
Right,
like
right,
Just
right.
saying to
my
listeners.
my daughter was like, I don't actually believe that you like this song. I think that you just are doing this to like make some sort of a point that I don't get. And I was like, the fact that you can't understand the joy and just like the fun that is this song. It has a slight nod to Beatles' Magical Mystery Tour. The like with the circusy music and just kind of like the silliness of it.
It's a
And
vibe. It is a total vibe.
I think it's a vibe that takes itself not so seriously at all and really seriously because it's like, I'm going to just do this thing. And so, much like Double Dub Con and Fated to Love You, and I'm just like, I respect the game. Like, give me something that I did not know I wanted. Smeraldo Garden Marching Band is a song that I would not have sat down and been like, I feel like I need this song. And yet I love it. And I am in a heavy rotation with it at the moment. And I'm not sad about it.
I love it. Thank you.
You are welcome. So let's jump into just more K drama examples, kind of tying into sexual tension. So, for you, what is a K drama couple, or which K drama couple had sexual tension that was so palpable you felt like you were intruding?
The first one that came to mind for me was Fight for My Way with Park Seo Joon and Kim Ji Won. I still think about the sexual tension in this because specifically, like, this was very much a will they or won't they, and the chemistry between these two characters was also just something that I wish you could bottle. It doesn't come every drama where you have these two actors that were just had such amazing chemistry as their characters. They live in like apartments right across from each other. It's a friends to lovers story. So they're like besties who then start to see each other as like love interests, and it's like a beautiful, I think, journey that they go on. But I remember that there's several moments in like her apartment where like I remember he like pulls her close. I think at one point he kind of like cages her in with his like long
It's
legs because
so good.
it's Park Seo Joon, and the way he kind of, like, touches her always felt so real to me, and, like, I still sometimes that scene where he does that will come up, like, on my Instagram, and I get, like, butterflies every time. I just felt like that was a drama where the chemistry was chemistrying and the tension between them, because you never know what's gonna happen because they were friends and they wanted to maintain that friendship, and you weren't sure if they were ever gonna cross the line, and I just loved it.
Yeah, when you have friends to lovers where you can tell that there's an attraction, that they're fighting, it's
Mhm.
so good. So good. So I had It's Okay, That's Love, with Zo Sung as Jaeol and Kang Hyo Jin as Hae-soo. Um,
Yeah.
we did a whole pod on this drama, so I won't, get too into it, but it's an enemies to lovers kind of thing. They meet when he's interviewing her, or she's interviewing him. I can't even remember which one it is. He's like a mystery writer, a murder mystery writer, and she is a psychiatrist. And he's just so like macho and confident to the extent of like he's like you're attracted to me, like everybody's attracted to me kind of thing. And she hates the vibe that he's putting out. But then they end up as housemates, and, like, that vibe kind of changes a little bit, and the fact that she still has this, like, sort of, like, vitriol toward him, yet is undeniably attracted to him, I love it because it is definitely a push and pull for a really long time with them, and it's definitely worth the wait. And then, like, an honorable mention, I said Business Proposal, the second leads, Kim and Q and Solana, until they have dubious consent sex. But I thought they were super sexy until that happened.
Great. So for me, look, this one, I feel like I always give this answer. So maybe this is like my like little like horse I need to let go of. But um I love Coffee Princess sexual tension
It's
so much.
so
I don't
But
good.
feel
it's
like
very good.
I don't feel like I've seen many others that do it as consuming
It's
as
so
I
good.
felt watching that. Not the beginning. I think the beginning, as we've all said many times, sucks bad. But by around episode 3, all the way to the penultimate episode, because the ending, whatever. I mean, even through the ending, it's fine. It's just so good. And I feel like when it's that sense of like, is this so intimate? I shouldn't even be here. Should I just like let this show go? And I should even like, there's not much more I love than when I'm so overcome with like the feel of what I'm seeing that I have to avert my eyes from fictional people on a screen.
Mhm.
Or
That's
like
a
you're
lot.
squirming.
Yeah. Like just like being like,
Yes.
yeah, like, oh my God, this is so like,
100%.
that's a lot to be able to elicit from something that's not real, that you should just be sitting there on your couch, like watching, like being like eating your popcorn. And all of a sudden you're just like, I can't look. It's too powerful. So I just feel like, yeah, the push pull for that really worked. Again, there's not many ways you can also take especially in modern books, the hidden gender and like make that like, and I really am always curious how to do hidden gender, and also gender is a construct and fake, and we don't give a shit about gender, but it's also fun to play around with gender. And so I don't know. I would love to just have so many more, or at least another really good one that kind of plays around with. I think because ultimately, what I love the most about it is for the hero has to fall in love with the person, not the gender. And that is like a journey to go through. And it was really, I thought, well done and well executed.
It's fantastic.
Okay. What is a top moment of drama sexual tension that lives in your mind rent free?
Okay, I have to talk. I don't care what anyone says. I have to talk about this one. It's a BL Thai drama, so it's not a K drama. But ever since this scene happened, I don't think you understand how it replays in my head. So I feel like it's not fair if I bring up something else when
Okay. I mean,
this is the
I was naughty in my answer too.
well, yeah, because I was like, you know what? I gotta bring this up because this is what I think about every single time. So let me explain. The drama's Boy Next World, and if you're like Megan, stop talking about this drama. It's not that good. Shut up. I don't. No, no, no. I'm sorry. I will fight for Boy Next World.
Whose podcast is this?
Like, ours. So
Yeah.
I'm
Talk about what you want to talk about.
so thank you. Thank you, Mom. So I love Boss Knoll. They are the leads, and it was not a perfect drama, but the chemistry, always chemistries between the two of them. But let me tell the premise real quick so that you understand like why this scene was so good. Okay, so Cirrus, who is boss, wakes up from a coma and he is like, oh my God, I'm in an alternate world. And the world that I came from, I had a beautiful, loving relationship with Fukan, which is played by Noel. But in this alternate dimension, we're not in a relationship. And so Cirrus is kind of like freaking out because he's like, he's right there and like I love him, but he doesn't love me back yet because we don't have a relationship in this world. I'm gonna give a slight spoiler because so just like skip ahead if you don't want to know anything about Boy Next World, but it's just watch it. The spoiler is that actually there is no alternate dimension. While he was in his coma, he basically had a whole dream of what could have been. Like he's always kind of had a crush on Fukan. And so he had this whole dream of what could have been if he would have actually acted on his attraction with Fukan like years ago. And so he wakes up and I think for a little bit he's like delusional that he's like, "Oh, like I can make this work if I tell him that he's my boyfriend in an alternate dimension," but he's basically lying to him. But he's like also Chris has had a really hard life and he hasn't been able to like do anything he loves. His mom sees him as property. It's really shitty. And so I think he's like, I know I had this coma and this is like my second life. This is my second chance to like have what I want, which is Fuka. And there's this scene because he's obviously interacting with him because he's like, "You're my boyfriend in another dimension." Like it's very weird and sort of gaslighting, but then also you feel for Cirrus because you're like, "Yeah, go get him, man." I guess you know. So there's a scene on on the couch where there's so much yearning from Cirrus. Like in his dream, he saw this like perfect life that he had with like the love of his life, the man he's been like avoiding because he's like, I can't be with him. I can't have this. But in the dream, he saw like how amazing his life was. And I mean, there is just massive yearning. Like he can't even like be near Fukan because he wants to like bang him so bad. And it's like very clear on the screen. So there's obviously a scene where something happens. They're like on the couch and he like falls on top of Fukan and he's kind of like between his legs and Fukan doesn't like move and Pisiris does it's like this is sexual tension that's all physical. Well, and mental. And I think that's thing. It had like the both parts of it. So Sears kind of like loses his head for a minute and he like presses close and he leans down and he releases this sigh that is like so sexually charged. It's like a sigh of yearning and want, but he like pulls himself back. And like he's like, I'm sorry, like I have to get up. I have to get up because I cannot trust myself to like be this close to you. And it is like this sigh, I I can hear it in my head. I mean, it is like props to Boss. I think he like upped his acting, but that scene has so much sexual tension for me because you felt the emotion of the yearning in it, as well as like the physicalness of, oh my God, I'm so close to him. If I could just get closer. And it's my favorite.
I love that. I went a little I think it's a little rogue, but I still think there's sexual tension. So I went to Healer, and particularly the covered eyes knit cap kiss. So in Healer,
Of course.
I mean, well, because like
Not
they're actually
controversial.
having the physical contact, but
Yeah.
so Ji Chang-wook as Healer or Jung-hoo and Park Min-young as Young Shin, and this happens right after Healer rescues her. So if you don't know Healer, Healer is his alter ego, and he's sort of like
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, basically. Yeah. He does a lot of parkour, and he's like kind of like a paid messenger guy thing, but like skirting the lines of legal, right? And like a big loner. And anyway, Young Shin is trying to figure out who Healer is. Meanwhile, Healer is working as Bong Su undercover at the newspaper where she's a reporter trying to infiltrate something else that's going on there. So she knows him as Bong Su, but he also knows that she has a crush on Healer. And there's this scene where she is going to plummet to her death in a like rigged elevator, and he needs to rescue her, but he doesn't have time to put his whole healer like garb on to disguise
His
himself.
little outfit.
Yes, his little healer outfit. So when he goes to rescue her in the elevator and basically like John McClane her, out of it, he makes her pull her white knit cap over her eyes so she can't see him.
Which is the sexual tension part. That's why
Yes.
I think it really checks out as
Yes.
sexual
Me
tension.
too.
Okay, thank you.
100%.
Thank you.
100%.
Thank you. Because I was like, they kiss. So I don't know if it's tension, but like, yes. So basically, he rescues her. They end up on the top of this building. It's snowing. And she starts to lift her hat, and and then she knows that she's not supposed to look at him, so she doesn't. And he kisses her like that with the hat pulled over her eyes. And then he has to disappear because he's Healer and she can't know that yet. Um, and it is so great for many reasons. Because, yes, there's the tension of she can't look at him. There's the tension of him knowing that she wants him as Healer, but doesn't want him as Bong Su. Because he has confessed to her. I don't know if he's confessed to her at this point as Bong Su, because he does confess to her as Bong Su. But she's waiting on Healer. And so we know, it's the dramatic irony of the audience knowing that he's one and the same. He's Healer and he's Bong Su. Um, and she doesn't know. And there's more than one instance of this, like her getting to touch him, but like he's, she doesn't get to see him. And I just love that aspect, and they carry it so well throughout the drama. And you have like the physical tension there, but you also have the emotional tension of him knowing that he's in love with her, but he can't, like, in real life, the way that she knows him, it's not reciprocated yet.
It's actually, I mean, it's perfect because I think it ratchets up the
Yeah.
tension then for later. That
Yes,
like
because then you have like the 2 steps forward, 1 step back type of thing, because then afterwards he's got to dial it back now as like Bong Su, because like he knows he kissed her as Healer and she doesn't. So good. I miss Healer.
me too.
Okay, so for me, I did a Korean movie. So, not a drama, but a moment of sexual tension that lives rent free for me without a doubt. Like the first thing that came in my mind. So I'm going on vibes. I'm tapping into my vibe ether.
I think I know what this is.
What? Tell me. I want to know.
Is it Fingers in the Mouth from Handmaiden?
Yes! Yes!
I know you. I know you.
I was guessing Handmaiden in my head, but I hadn't gotten to that point yet.
It was the Fingers in the Mouth.
That's perfect.
I was thinking you might do Fingers in the Mouth from My Beautiful Man, but if it's a K movie, then I was like, it's Handmaiden.
Look at you. High five. High five. High five on the vibes.
High five. See?
Tell Neil, be like, I'm on the vibes tonight.
Yeah.
So it is from the movie The Handmaiden, and we have the rich, beleaguered heroine. Well, we have 2 heroines in The Handmaiden. One is in the bath, not everything. I'm not going to give away. We've done a pod on The Handmaiden, but essentially we have the wealthy the wealthy woman is in the bath and she has a toothache, and the ingenue maid who is beginning to have a lot of sexual chemistry with her mistress is like, let me just go get a thimble, pop it on my finger, whack my dainty little finger into your mouth, and I'm going to massage down the sharp edge of your tooth that hurts. And that's it. That's the scene. And so we have this beautiful woman in a bathtub with her mouth wide open, and then we have Kim Tae-ri, the actress, very beautiful, playing the ingenue maid, with her hand in this woman's mouth, just like working her mouth.
It is like the sexual tension in this scene is
Yeah.
wild.
So we have not gotten to we have not gotten past the will they or won't they. They do, but they don't yet. And yeah, there's like, not only is it kind of like forbidden because, it would be like queer desire and queer love in like a very patriarchal home where like sex has really become like perverted by men and like weaponized by men. So it's like very subversive to be able to like have this like place of like more pure yearning. Both of them aren't as they seem. Their motivations are hidden from each other. And so that movie impacts that. And then you also have like economic disparity between like the mistress in the home and then like, the servant girl. And so there's a lot of other tensions as well that are playing into it, besides just the fact that I find fingers in the mouth really hot. And it's an interesting choice to have it be the person who's got kind of more power and positionality in the situation, in a more vulnerable position, being in the bath with her mouth wide open, getting worked over by the girl.
Oof, it's so good. It's so
Oof,
good.
it really is. Thank you. I feel very seen. Okay. So, what is a time when a couple's sexual tension fizzled for you? What do you think went wrong? And what is a time that a couple had sexual tension build more organically and sustain?
Okay. Fizzled, I'm gonna say, Lee Joon-gi and So Ye-ji and Lawless Lawyer,
Mm.
um, which is a shame, but, I mean, there was speculation at the time that it was likely due to personal romantic issues going on in So Ye-ji's life. They sort of reel you in the beginning, making you think that there's gonna be some romance, and then the romance really just kind of falls away. I still love Lawless Lawyer, like, don't get me wrong, but it was fantastic. I loved it, but, like, don't watch it for the romance is basically all I'm saying. And then one that I thought, built really well organically was Mad for Each Other, which is, Jungwoo as Weo and Oh Yeon-seo as Min Kyung. And here we have a couple who start out as enemies because she thinks he's stalking him, then end up being neighbors and, like, very reluctant friends to, like, it just building so deliciously slow, and it's not even a long drama, but, like, I think it's the pacing is just so, so well done that by the time they do finally get together, that it has been well won, I think, by the viewer.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Mad for Each Other because today I was like, obviously looking at our script and I was like, I feel like I need to mention Mad for Each Other somewhere. I was like, I don't know where in the list but I'm like, I feel like we should mention how good the
It's
sexual
so
tension
good.
is in Mad for because it is. So mine that fizzled was My Lovely Liar, and I know Amy is going to
Oh
agree with me on
god,
this.
yes. I'm like I feel so bad, like, I've forgotten that drama
I
because
know
it was such a
because it,
letdown.
yeah, it really fizzled out at the end. It didn't like go crazy at the like. There was no problems. It just like
I don't know if
blah.
there ever was tension.
True, there was never really good tension between them, but I felt like there was like promise that this could get really good. It's basically the heroine can tell when anyone is lying. She gets this like ringing in her ear. She knows when people are lying, but she cannot tell when the hero is lying. Played by Min Hyuk. The heroine is played by Kim So Hyun. I mean, overall, I thought the drama was fine, but there was just something about them that fizzled out, and I think, again, people that don't write or people that don't write romance, it is hard. okay, and I'm not saying other books are not hard, but I'm trying to explain why romance is more complicated than people think because 'cause they're like, "Well, you just it's always an HEA." But usually you have a hero's journey, but in romance, you have 2 hero journeys, essentially, that need to be in conflict with each other, but also need to kinda run parallel, and you have to, like, wrap them up at the same time with, like, good external conflict. It's very hard,
It
and I
is.
think that's part of what happened with My Lovely Liar is that if you don't also have a balance of the 2 journeys, like, you lose, like, the heart of the relationship, and they kind of really let Min Hyuk's character just kinda go, like, blah, and so then there wasn't, like, good tension between them, and it didn't feel I don't know, it just didn't vibe, basically.
The
So that
second sh there was more tension with the second male lead than there
yeah,
was
that
with
actually
him, which
love
is
this
sad.
oh,
Yeah,
where is he?
I
We
know.
gotta look him up. He's gotta be in something now. Anyway, and then one that I thought, really like, built sustainably. I feel like I'm talking about, like,
Sustainability?
like, was No Gain, No Love.
Oh,
Um,
so good.
I forgot about how good No Gain, No Love was. Oh, so that stars Shin Min-ah and Kim Young-dae. It's like an arranged marriage. So they have no reason to like each other, and I always love that. Um, that they, like, sort of agree not to like each other, and then they both, like, fuck it up and start liking each other. I always love that type of trope, and that's kind of what happened. But the tension between them was really good. Like, you could tell there was, like, an attraction that just steadily built and steadily built. But then there was very much, like, push and pull, and she was older than him, so it was a Nuna romance, and, um but yeah, the scene came up that where he, like, walks out in the tux because 'cause they're, like, doing a fitting for their, like, fake wedding, and, he, like
The makeover reveal.
yeah, he looks so good. But anyway, that's one that I really believed in that romance.
Right, so the 2 that I'm gonna give, this hurt. When I say the ones that fizzled, I'm giving you ones that hurt. Because when I'm saying fizzles, I'm using it as it was like you had shaken the Coke can really hard, and it was, like, so bursting for me, like, I was, like, there, I was, like, not able to watch the screen, I was, like, kicking my feet, I was shrieking,
Mhm.
and then I popped it, and then it was like, "Oh god," it went flat, and so, it's the same writer, and here's what I'm gonna say is okay, I'm gonna give the dramas, then I'm gonna contextualize it, and know this hurts me. Know this hurts me deeply. So, it's Something in the Rain and Midnight Romance in the Hagwon, and I'm going to say I really like this writer. I see so even though there's a fizzle here for me and a wag of the finger and it didn't execute how I wanted, I think it's still like when it's good, it's so good that it's like some of the best I've seen, like some of the best tension I've seen. And so in Something in the Rain, so the setups are good. Like the conflict of like what keeps them apart is good. So Something in the Rain, it is older older woman, younger little brother's best friend with like worse socioeconomics, things like that. And then in Midnight Romance in the Hagwon, it is teacher with former student. They did not have the biggest age gap, like 5, 6 years. And, time has passed and he's come back and he's like now a teacher as well in the Hagwon. Good conflict to being like former student to like current colleague. The yearning, the longing, the sexual tension, all of it in both of these are so good. The conflict's so good. And I like a quiet drama. It's just that like either it's the length that is getting too long. It's just something where there's not enough of what keeps them apart to keep it sustained at that level. So the one I'm gonna draw on mostly is Something in the Rain, which is at the end they do kind of like a third act breakup. That I have seen justifications like Sarah from K-Drama This has kind of unpacked why she thinks it's more like culturally appropriate. It makes sense. And I appreciate the things that she brought to the table in that conversation. But from just like a pure romance perspective, I would say that it feels as if even the third act breakup I could live with, the reconciliation ended up being poorly done for me to where like
Mm,
you had all this tension build, 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 build. And then it was like, I'm ready for the payoff. And instead I felt like it was like this, like, I am super confused why we went this route and it's a fizzle and I'm mad. And I made it almost all the way to the end. And now I'm like, what the
yeah.
and Midnight Romance in the Hagwon, I felt like was like this little train that couldn't. All these people were like, I don't like the soundtrack. I think it's boring." I was like, "No, it's so fun and good, and like I like that it's like chugging along and giving it to me." But then eventually, I was just like, "Okay, like chug, chug, chug." Like it was just like chug, chug, chug. So I was like, maybe should it have been like 6 episodes? Like, I don't know. Was it the length that did it in the end? So I do like a lot of I love hyperrealism meets sexual tension so much. So both of those hurt me that in the end I'm gonna say they fizzled for me. I believe in this writer. I know that there's greatness to come. So I'm going to just say that like I'm still there for the ride, even though I'm saying it's a fizzle. And then one that was organic and sustained for me is one that, you know what, I just was thinking, here's what I don't talk about enough because I think it did a really good job and fits a little bit within the same kind of caliber of romance that I would consider Something in the Rain and Midnight Romance in the Hagwon to be. And that is Because It's My First Life. I felt like
Yeah.
because it's my first life, also just for my own proclivities, I am in also my contract marriage era. Like all I want is marriages of convenience right now. Like I am obsessed with marriage of convenience tropes. Um and so in this we have that kind of like forced relationship, forced proximity, mostly to like be able to like maintain a home environment. And I felt like that just to me it gives such a good framework for a slow burn because it's how can you put some strangers together or people who normally wouldn't be in close proximity together, often very different people. There's usually conflict, right? Because why do they have to be in the same space together? Like what's gone wrong that's put them in that situation? And then um and then they have like and like Amy was just saying at the beginning of the podcast with like the book she's just done, which is like now they're roommates. It's like when you live with someone, you're seeing all their warts and everything. Like you're not seeing their good side. You're not seeing what they walk out into the world and present. You're seeing like what's happening behind closed doors. And so you get this like very big intimacy that these people shouldn't be giving to each other because they have no other reason to, but they're in this like obligated state. So I think that that just leads to really, really great sexual attention, and I really just love because it's my first life, and I haven't said I love it in a while.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I felt like that was a very sustainable relationship. Like I was like, "All right, they'll be fine."
Yeah. And it just felt like it to me, I didn't fizzle out by the end. I felt like it sustained nicely. So just a quick one. I just thought about this because mostly because I was thinking about Set Free the Curse of Taekwondo, Megan. Was what's the difference between tension that makes you anxious versus tension that makes you excited? And all I want to say in answering my own question, and then I'll let you discuss if either of you have anything to add, is it's a fine line for me between tension where I'm like, ooh, I'm not sure what's going to happen, or I'm uncertain, or I'm like kind of on the edge of my seat and I have to see what's going to happen next. Oh my God. And are they going to die? Is someone dying soon? And is someone dying? Once you introduce, is someone going to die into it? I don't know if I'm saying I don't know. I love it too. It's just it hurts a lot more to me.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'd love it if we could just, like, take dying off the equation for characters, but then I've also been really loving dramas lately where characters die at the end, so
You
clearly I
have.
like it. Like, I said in the Dear Hongrong podcast that I'm, like, in my tragic love era, I feel like.
Mhm.
But I don't know if I have a preference. I just love tension. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the "Is someone gonna die" thing, again, when that comes to fruition, then we're no longer in a romance. Um, so I and I guess it's hard if you're watching something that you think is a romance and it ends up not being a romance, the, like, "Is someone gonna die" thing. Um, but I like that tension if I kind of if the vibes are telling me that it's gonna happen. You know, like, we've talked, and I don't wanna go spoiling, like, dramas that we've already talked about, but we've talked about a couple we've done full podcasts, recently, on ones where someone's already dead at the beginning, and is literally like a Grim Reaper, and also, like, where the another drama opens with, like, the main character dying, and then we, like, go back and see, like, how they got there.
Mm.
And both of those for me, I was okay with that, like, it still was big tension for me because 'cause I'm like, "Shit, when's it gonna happen?" Kinda thing. But I don't know that I want that in something I think is a romance and then have it not be a romance. I'm okay if I know that it's not gonna be a romance, though.
So, what are the warning signs that writers are manufacturing drama because they don't know how to maintain sexual tension?
Like, when you bring in conflict that wasn't there from the beginning, like an evil ex-girlfriend, and a very specific example of that for me was Marry My Husband. I still will say that I love that drama, but the evil ex-girlfriend was basically like a deus ex machina. Like, she was there for one purpose only, and she served that purpose, um, and it was just kind of like, almost like a silly side quest. Like, we didn't need that, um, but it gave the main characters more conflict and more drama.
Oh, I haven't hated on this drama in a long time. This was my favorite drama to hate on, especially when we first started to podcast it. Uh, like 1% of something or something about 1%.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't care. But they brought in the weirdest ex-girlfriend plot at the like in the third act. It didn't even her motivations didn't make sense. She kidnapped the heroine and just like kept her in her car. And I'm like, what's that gonna do? It was very weird and so stupid. And I was like, no woman acts like this. Like it was just so dumb. On top of like already a drama that wasn't going my way. But anyway, for me, I would say the miscommunication trope. And I'm not saying every time there's miscommunication, it's because the writer isn't doing sexual tension well, but sometimes it's a sign that they aren't really sure what to do um to create like organic tension between the characters. So they're like, let's just have one misunderstand the other.
Right.
And it's extremely manufactured. It's very frustrating. And it often makes the characters act in a way that we don't feel is consistent with the way they should be acting. So it just feels frustrating to us. So that's usually always like a red flag to me.
I think well, one for me that we haven't touched on is, Amnesia. Once you see Amnesia, you know that, like, 9 times out of 10, they didn't know what to do, so they had amnesia.
Amazing. Very true. That's yeah.
And
Except for
every once in a while, I mean, I think that I wanna just write a book called Amnesia and have it
Call it
be
amnesia.
right.
Amnesia.
Excellent.
Um, there's, like, a trend lately where people have just been calling their books, like, the names of the trope, and that's, like, a whole thing. But, yeah, I should just call mine Amnesia, my big fat
Amnesia.
amnesia love story. Wedding, my
Yeah.
big fat amnesia wedding. Um, but, yeah, I think once you see Amnesia, usually you know they were like, "Shit, we gotta get some tension going somewhere." Amnesia.
We gotta, like, crank, like, 2 more episodes out here.
Yep.
Throw in the
Or
amnesia.
somebody gets randomly shot, and, like, not in a way that's integrated to the plot very well. Like, Crash Landing on You, there's a lot of shooting, but it's, like, part of the story. It's when, like, yeah, all of a sudden, I'm looking at you, Queen of Tears.
Queen of Tears. Yeah, I knew Queen of Tears.
Okay, so
Or you know what? I just want, like, honorable mention to Noble Idiocy.
I think we need to do a whole podcast on
Yeah,
noble idiocy.
Mentioned
I
that
do too.
when we were like thinking of what to do tonight, I was like, we need to talk about noble idiocy.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it can work, and
Yeah,
sometimes it
totally.
doesn't.
Totally.
But sometimes I feel like it's thrown in there again just to crank out, like, another episode. Like, as much as I love Because This Is My First Life, there's some Noble Idiocy in there at the end that I did not need.
Yeah. Okay. The end, I just thought this would be a fun closeout, is what are 2 characters that had amazing sexual tension, even if not intended by the writers necessarily? Basically, who are you going to fanfic?
Love this question because it was so easy to answer. And I already talked about Suho on a recent podcast. I forget why. I think it was side characters that stole our hearts or something. I talked about Suho from Weak Hero Class. So anyone who's watched Weak Hero Class knows that Suho and Sihyun have incredible chemistry, and it feels like it 100% feels like sexual tension between them. Their friendship is just supercharged with more than just buddies, just good old buddy old pals. It's more than that. I adore them.
Yeah, and I didn't have to think longer than like a millisecond for this one. And it's Goblin and Reaper like all day, every day.
Okay, I think I know who Leah's gonna mention.
Oh my
Can
God.
you go 3 for 3?
Yeah, it's
Seriously.
Strangers from Hell, Lee Dong-wook and MC1?
It is
No?
not.
Oh,
It
okay.
is not.
2 for 3.
That is a good honorable mention.
Good
but
honorable
that is
mention.
not.
Okay, now I'm curious.
I would have been so impressed.
Yeah.
I'm going to Mr. Plankton. And I'm
Oh,
going
yes.
to
Oh my
Okyeong
God,
and
yes.
Jonna.
Wait, say again?
Remember Jonna?
Yeah?
Jonna? And then Oh Jung-se's character.
Yes.
Oh,
A million
my
times, yes.
God.
And
I
yes, I
forgot.
have
I
something
should have
before,
said this
like,
one.
Maybe they were brothers. I don't. Just shut up. Let me I am fan in my fanfic. In my fanfic, they are brothers. No, I'm kidding. But like, that was the hook of that show for me. I'm so sorry, but I was like so invested.
Shocked that wasn't a romance between them. Like it
It should
felt
have
like
been.
it was going that way. Yeah, it felt like it was going that way.
Should have been. And I've had, some people slide into my DMs and be like, they're just brothers and it's found family. And I'm like, blah, blah, I'll see you on AO3. When I do hashtag Omegaverse, hashtag Oh Jung-se's bad at feelings, hashtag anal fisting.
God.
What a note to end on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to go from there.
All I can say is we kept it under an hour 30.
We did
We did.
awesome tonight.
We did. We went from vibes to anal fisting in 90 minutes.
I mean, only here.
That's what happens when you go from the head fuck to the fuck fuck. Look, I kept the fuck fuck till the end. Did I
good.
keep the sexual tension going the whole time?
Yes, I felt edged.
All right. Well, fun chatting with both of you as per always. And until next week.
Thanks for listening. Annyeong.
Annyeong.
감사합니다. Thank you for listening to Afternoon of Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoon of Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!